Hello, Dirt Road Believers. I'm just a-swinging and enjoying my last little bit of summer. I have to go back to work this week. As most of you know, I am a teacher. So it's time. It's been a wonderful, wonderful summer. I'm going to share a little bit of that with you in just a minute in a video. But welcome to Dirt Road Believer. I am Tina, creator of Dirt Road Believer, and I'm so glad that you're here. A lot of you are here week after week after week after week, and I'm so grateful for you. I call you my Dirt Road Believers, and I love the time that we get to spend in devotion. If you're new and you're just visiting for the first time, or you've just subscribed, welcome. So glad that you're with me. So all month in July, we've had this series, and I told you at the beginning I was pretty sure I would lose subscribers over this topic, but I have been fascinated. It's kind of been like a social experiment here. I'm fascinated that I have gained subscribers. I think we've gained, I don't know, like 8 or 9 subscribers this month. The topic has been sin. I told you it was heating up in July. Uncomfortable topic to talk about, but apparently we need to address it because people are tuning in and people are responding. So we are finishing up today, and today's devotion is the upside of sin. If you did not know there's actually an upside to sin, you're going to find it out today. So stick around for the devotion. Let me tell you what's been going on. I went to Texas with a couple of friends to visit a retired teacher friend in Houston. We had a wonderful, wonderful time. And one of my friends that went, Kirsten, she has a business, a jewelry business called Blackbird Wireworks, and she gifted us all this sweet little bracelet. I love it so much. You'll probably see it in one of the pictures too. She and her husband are like incredible jewelry makers. They customize things. So I want you to visit her shop on Facebook, Blackbird Wireworks. Check them out. They do amazing work. And most of my jewelry comes from Blackbird Wireworks. Okay, when we were in Texas, my friend Kathy taught me something. She and her family are in the habit of, when they go out to eat, they tell their waiter, hey, we're going to pray over our food. Is there anything that we can pray for you? And so we did that while we were out there. And like, isn't that really the mark of our faith? Like, are we sharing our faith? And this was just such an easy way to do it. And I was amazed at the responses that we got. We had 3 opportunities to do it. And the first girl that we asked, she was like, anxiety, please pray over my anxiety. She didn't have to think, not a lick. The second guy, he kind of, did that eyes up to the sky. I'm thinking, he's like, oh, I have a final coming up. Can you please pray that I'm successful and I do well in this final? And then the third response, I was like, first of all, you do kind of look at how people look. And this guy looked like, he may be a little bit of a renegade, a little bit of a rebel. And so I was wondering, how's this going to go? So we asked him, hey, is there anything we can pray for you? And he's like, you know what? Please pray that I'm successful. I mean, you could tell he's a server and he's working his way up, maybe through school or something, but he said, please pray for my success. And then here's what really got me. He said, is there anything I can pray over y'all? He turned it around on us. It was amazing. So, hey, I hope you use this. I'm going to start using this. So easy. We're going to pray over our meal. Is there anything we can pray over you? So that was pretty special. We had a great time. Here's a video of our trip. We started on July 19th, which sounded like such an innocent date, until we're on our way to the airport and we read that the CrowdStrike phenomenon, debacle, whatever you want to call it, had begun. And so, of course, that affected our trip. But we're back. We're safe. And I'm so glad to be with you today in our time of devotion. So here's our video from Houston. Enjoy that. And then I'll see you right back for today's devotion, the upside of sin.
Every news network.
We're flying out on the day of the debacle. We made it to Houston. 3 flight delays later, we're here. We're getting the tour, and we all got goodie bags.
Right foot, left stop. Left foot, left stop. Cha-cha now, y'all. Now it's time to get funky.
Survive through the waters. You gonna put that on your head?
Yeah. Why not?
Okay, we're back. If you have missed this devotion series on sin in July, go back. I wasn't really sure where the Lord was going to lead me in this. I just knew that it was pressing, and I needed to do it. And so I've really been kind of along on the journey with you in this devotion series, but it really kind of builds on each other. And I have just posted 3 of the videos to my website. So dirtroadbeliever.com is kind of where everything is in one place. You have articles and, videos and all sorts of things. So go there for kind of the hub of Dirt Road Believer Ministry. You can also join us on Facebook, Dirt Road Believer Facebook group. And then I just put personal stuff kind of on Instagram. So you can find me there. All right, let's get started. Today is the upside of sin. And we're going to show you why we have to get involved in sin. That might sound weird to you, but hang on. All right, first of all, we covered this in the beginning of the series about brokenness. And I want to start in Psalm 51:17. It says, "The sacrifice pleasing to God is a broken spirit. You will not despise a broken and humbled heart, God." So when it comes to sin, we hear this word brokenness all the time. Broken doesn't mean there's something wrong with us. Brokenness is a state that we are in over sin, a spirit of brokenness, because we get just how heavy sin is and how much it should weigh upon us as Christians. Not just our own sin, but other people's sin too. So yes, there is a place for being broken over sin. Our own sin, the sin of others. And that brings me to the next part, which is confession of sin. We have an opportunity to confess not only our own sins, but other people's sin. Have you ever thought about this? That you can confess to the Lord other people's sin? I take you to Jeremiah 9. I'm not going to read this chapter, but the entire chapter is called National Confession of Sin. Nehemiah is confessing the sin of a nation. God, we have turned from your statutes. We have broken your law. As a people, we have not followed you, God. And it goes into detail about the sins of a nation. So you can confess the sin of a nation to God. And now I want to look at 3 people who went a step beyond brokenness and confession to intercession. Did you know that you can ask for the forgiveness of others' sins, not only your own? I call this my sin circle. So how big is your sin circle? How many people does it encompass? If your sin circle only encompasses you, your sin circle may not be big enough, okay? Because the upside to sin is that you can absolutely stand in the gap for other people's sin. Where do we get that from? Well, every story that I read you about someone being an intercessor for someone else's sin is going to, they're all Old Testament scriptures, but they are pointing to the New Testament and what Jesus did for us. We have the greatest intercessor ever for our sin in Jesus. So let's start in Job. I love this. Our sin circle is going to start small and it's going to get bigger as we see examples of people who are intercessors for others' sin. So I love this one because I have children. And I have children, you know that scripture in the Bible that talks about the sins of our youth? Well, I have youth. Okay, that's who I'm raising right now. So this one really stands out to me. This is Job. Remember, Job feared God. He was a righteous man. And in Job chapter 1, starting in verse 4, it says, his sons, I have sons. His sons used to take turns having banquets at their homes. They would send an invitation to their 3 sisters to eat and drink with them. Whenever a round of banqueting was over, so this went on for days, maybe even a week. But when the round of banqueting was over, Job would send for his children and purify them, rising early in the morning to offer burnt offerings for all of them, because Job thought, perhaps my children have sinned, having cursed God in their hearts. This was Job's regular practice, okay? So Job's sin circle went beyond his own sin to the sins of his children. God, perhaps they have sinned. In my language, it's they have probably sinned, okay? So I'm interceding for the sins of my children. God, you know they're young. You know they just had a 4-day party over at Job's kids' house. Probably some stuff happened. Maybe some things were said. Maybe there was a hardening of the heart during that time. Maybe, way too much enjoyment was had. So he is saying, God, I don't need to know the sins of my children. You know where they have failed you. But God, I'm offering a sacrifice for them. I want to purify them because I have a relationship with you. So your sin circle should absolutely expand to include your children. Okay, that's important. Job knew the importance of that. Now let's go to Exodus and let's see how big Moses' sin circle was. We talked about this during this devotion series, Give the People What They Want, where Moses went to get the 10 Commandments up on the mountain from God, and he left Aaron, his brother, in charge. And while he was gone, the people started crying out, oh, we miss Egypt, and back then we had these idols and those idols, and they didn't leave us, they were always near. Well, they weren't actually real. But Aaron gave the people what he wanted. He made the golden calf. So this is on the heels of Moses finding out that his people, while he was up seeking God for them, was turning against God. Exodus 32, we're going to start in verse 31. It says, so Moses returned to the Lord and said, oh, these people have committed a grave sin. They have made a god of gold for themselves. Now, if you would only forgive their sin, but if you don't forgive their sin, please erase me from the book that you have written. Oh, he's referring to the book of life. How does Moses know about that? Because Moses knew God. That's why. And he's willing to stand in the gap. He's saying, look, take me. If you will not forgive their sins, just take me instead. He's willing to offer the sacrifice of himself. So Moses' sin circle expands to all of his people, the people that Moses is influential over, the people that Moses was put in a position to lead. So think about that for you. Does your sin circle and your intercessory prayer over sin, does it include those people that you have been given influence over? Think about it. Your church, your job, your community. God puts us in all those positions so that we can share our faith and have a voice of influence over those people. So our sin circle can absolutely, let's start small, ourselves, our children and our family, our community, our jobs, our church. Okay, you see it widening here. And these are the people that not only are we given influence over to share our faith and to talk to and to fellowship with, but to intercede for when it comes to their sin. All right, let's continue with Esther. I love me some Esther. So this is where she learns that she has been betrayed. There is an edict out that says we're going to kill all the Jews, okay? Her king husband does not know this yet, but Esther is in fact a Jew, and she wants to go to the king. She's decided, I'm going to go to the king, but even though she is the wife of the king, you don't ask ahead of time and get permission, off with the head. And so she is going to do this for her people. Esther sent this reply to Mordecai, her adoptive father. Go and assemble all the Jews who can be found in Susa and fast for me. Don't eat or drink for 3 days, night or day. I and my female servants are also going to fast in the same way. After that, I will go to the king, even if he is against the law. If I perish, I perish. So Mordecai went and did everything Esther had commanded him. Here's this young woman who goes, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this for all the Jews in this nation because we are facing extinction. But she recognizes, I cannot do it alone. If I'm going to be praying for a nation filled with Jews, then I have got to have some help. And so she commissions all the Jews. Look, we're in this together. And when they mention fasting, they're not just fasting. Fasting is accompanied with prayer. And so her sin circle gets so big that she begins to enlist other people who believe God as she believes God. And they all begin to fast and pray together. We've looked at 3 things today. If we can even begin to expand our sin circle and who we are being intercessors for, number 1, we have to be broken over sin, not just our own sin. This brokenness has to include the sins of our family, our nation, our world. Secondly, confession of sins. You can confess more to God than just your sin, just your own personal sins. I've said to God many times, God, I look around and it's as though we think we're God. We want to make the decisions about our identity, about, what's best for us. God, forgive us. Forgive us. You are God and you have all the direction and guidance that we need. Forgive us for turning our backs on you and thinking that we have the answers. So we've broken over sin. We confess sin to God, whether it's our own or someone else's or a wide group of people. And thirdly, we stand in the gap for those people. We enlist other people to help stand in the gap for those people. This is the upside of sin, guys, is that I don't have to just, be broken over my own sin and just deal with my own problems. Let me say this, and I hope you hear it. Sin at large is your problem. If you're a believer, then sin, whether it's your own or someone else's, is your problem. So I'm challenging you with this. Expand your sin circle. Look at the upside of sin. You can stand in the gap, whether it's for your family, your nation, your community. You can do that, guys. And so be broken over sin, confess sin, and stand in the gap and pray for the forgiveness of sins. Guys, glad you've been with me. Glad we got to end on this upside of sin. Make sure you join me on dirtroadbeliever.com, Dirt Road Believer Facebook group, and I hope you have an amazing day. I've enjoyed this series with you, and in August next week we will start something brand new. So join me for that. Thanks to all of you who are new subscribers. Make sure that this video you like, share, and if you haven't subscribed yet, do that. We are a growing ministry, and I am so grateful for those who join me each week to delve deeper into God's Word and grow in our relationship with Jesus Christ. Guys, have an awesome day. See you again next week in August. And until then, slow down. Take the dirt road, believer.